101 Dalmatians, Detective Lucky, by Calliope Glass. Calliope Glass. A blustery wind was blowing outside, and the Dalmatian puppies, all 99 of them, were snug and cozy in their new house. The puppies crowded around Nanny, who was reading to them a bedtime story. Lucky loved bedtime stories, especially loved the ones about detectives, and he wished he could be a detective. When Nanny's story was over, Pongo and Brigida took the puppies into bed. But Lucky wasn't tired, not one bit. He couldn't stop thinking of all the mysteries that he would solve if he were a detective. One by one, the puppies drifted off to sleep. Soon Lucky was the only one awake. Suddenly, his ears twitched. Creak, squeak, bang! What was that strange sound? Lucky bolted upward. Maybe this was the mystery he had hoped for. Maybe that sound was a clue. Lucky carefully climbed out of his bed. His parents were in the living room with Rogers and Anita. No one would notice if Lucky slipped through the doggy door, and he'd go outside for some clues, crack the case, and be back before anyone knew he'd left. Lucky scampered outward. He looked around. He'd never been outside at night before. The wind had died down and it was very dark, and all around him Lucky saw strange shadow shapes. Lucky thought about going back inside, but he knew a true detective would solve this case no matter what. If he wanted to be a detective, he'd have to go on. Darker nor dark. Oh, excuse me. That wasn't a clue. Lucky sniffed the air. An unfamiliar smell made his nose twitch. Maybe it was another clue. Lucky pressed his nose down to the dirt and sniffed again. And there it was. A same smell. That same strange smell. He wagged his tail and followed the scent to the woods. This is exactly what a real detective would do, Lucky thought, eagerly as he tracked the smell to a hollow log. Lucky poked his head into the log to see what it was and found two spooky eyes looking back at him. Lucky yelped in surprise and backed up out of the log as quickly as he could. Strange noises filled the air, and Lucky felt something brush against his head. Ooh! Flop, 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 whoosh! Lucky was surrounded by spooky sounds, and he didn't know what was making those sounds, and even worse, he'd been busy tracking the smell that he didn't notice how far he had roamed, and now he had no idea where he was going or how to get home. There was only one thing to do. Run. Lucky raced around the trees, ducking under branches and leaping over rocks. When the trees began to thin, he charged forward, running faster and faster and faster, and then wham! He knocked into somebody. A furry something with tails and hisses and growls. Lucky and the stranger tumbled over and over and over, and then the puppy saw a familiar face. Lucky, is that you? It was Sergeant Tibbs, the cat who had rescued Lucky and his siblings from the Cruella de Vil. Sergeant Tibbs! Lucky cried in relief. Help! I'm lost and I don't know how to get home. Sergeant Tibbs knew just what to do. He led Lucky to the old barn where the two filled in the Colonel on Lucky's situation. This calls for the midnight bark, the Colonel said. The Colonel lumbered over to the door and howled into the night. Lucky waited anxiously for a response, and at least it came. Bark, 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 yip, 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 arf, arf, arf. And the barks echoed throughout the countryside and all the way to the Dalmatian farms, where sleepy Pongo opened his eyes. It's a lost pup, he whispered to Brigida. I'll go help. Follow the barks and they'll lead you home again, the colonel said to Lucky. Good luck, lad. Thank you, Lucky said to the colonel and Sergeant Tibbs, and then listening closely, he ran into the night. The colonel was right. Following the sounds of the barks, Lucky soon realized he was on the way home, and now he was less scared. Lucky was able to solve all the mysteries he stumbled up on, even the old creaky gate that started it all. Back at the Dalmatian plantation, Pongo was shocked to see Lucky bounding up to him. The midnight bark was for you? He asked. Dad, I solved a mystery, Lucky exclaimed. Just like a real detective. Tell me about it in the morning, Pongo whispered as he led Lucky back to bed. And no more mysteries for tonight. Lucky agreed and snuggled up to his siblings and was ready to fall fast asleep after his big adventure. Suddenly his eye tricked. Squeak! What was that strange sound? Maybe it was a clue. That's the end of that one.